Hey guys, it's Peyton, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the worst and best books of 2019. Normally I would do separate videos for this, but I literally only have 2 books that I would consider like the worst, and I didn't want to like make a whole video. Like, yeah, I have some books that were like 3 stars that kind of just disappointed me, but I have 2 books that like really hardcore was like ew. I just didn't think it was fair to compare other books to those because those were just worse than all of the other ones that I was maybe gonna put on the list. I typically just read a lot of great books. I'm not that critical. Oh my god. Sorry, I just got Apple Watch for Christmas and I still don't know how to work it, so yay. I have picked out 10 of my favorite books of the year. Let me just put a disclaimer out there that these are just books that I read in 2019. They didn't come out in 2019. So this is not the best like books that came out in this year. It's just the best books that I read during this year and then the 2 worst ones. So I'm gonna let you know, I might just start off with the 2 worst ones just to get those over with, and then we can go back to positivity. So the first book that I unfortunately didn't like that much was The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallero. This might like shock some people that are really into this series. A lot of people love this series. This is the 3rd book in the Charlotte Holmes series, and yeah, I did get to the 3rd one. The first 2 were just fine, like I enjoyed them enough, but then I got to this one and it just destroyed everything for me, and I already had bought the 4th one, so I'm kind of upset. I might like audiobook that one, and if it gets better or anything like that, maybe I'll rethink my life, but honestly I feel like I'm gonna end up selling the whole series just because I just didn't like it enough to like ever really reread it, I don't think. Pretty much the premise of this series, it's like a gender bent modern day like Sherlock Holmes things. So we have Charlotte Holmes, she's a descendant of Sherlock Holmes, and then we have Jamie Watson, who is a descendant of Watson. It has an interesting premise, but the thing is with Sherlock Holmes stories, you would think it would be like really great mysteries, but honestly these mysteries are just so, at least in my opinion, they're just not great. Like, they're not hard to figure out. They're just very meh to me. I feel like it should be a lot more extravagant. I don't know. I just didn't like it, and the only thing that really saved me in the series is I do enjoy the dynamic between the main 2 characters, Charlotte and Jamie, and that's probably the only reason I might continue to the 4th one, because I got this far. I kind of want to know how it wraps up in the last book. But this one was like a 2 stars for me, and if you know, like, it's rare for me to rate books so low. It must have been pretty boring. And I have 0 tabs in it, and for a book to have 0 tabs in it when I have tabs handy, that's pretty bad. I mean, it speaks for itself that I didn't really enjoy it. The next book that I really disliked this year was An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I have like a whole reading vlog of me reading this. This was like a 2 star as well. It was just the most insta-lovey thing I've read, at least in a long time. I just did not mess with it at all. And I know a lot of people do love it, so that's perfectly fine. Like, you go love it. I just personally like really didn't enjoy it. And it's pretty much fantasy world, fairies. The main character, what's her face, Isabel, she paints people for a living, and some fae people come in and like pay her to paint them, and one day she paints this one fae dude that's apparently hot. She paints him with humanity in his eyes somehow, and he takes it back to his kingdom, and they're like so mad and like, what the frick, we have to kidnap this painter because obviously she screwed him over or something. And they just like fall in love in like 2 seconds. Like, literally on page 20 she was already talking about like how in love with him she was, and they've like barely had a conversation, and that just I didn't like it. And you know, if you like it, good for you. I wish I liked it because it's just such a pretty cover, but as you know, I'm going to unhaul this. I just still haven't made a trip to like a used bookstore or something, so go watch my unhaul video that I did recently. I'll put a card so you can go watch me say more bad things. So those were my most disliked books of the year, just disappointing reads. And now let's get into the 10 books that I absolutely loved in 2019. They're all 5 stars. The first book on my list is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I love Angie Thomas. Cannot wait for her next book that she's gonna have. She's already like hinted that the cover is so gorgeous, and I cannot wait to see it. This book is about a girl named Bree. She is a young rapper. Her dad was also like a really well-known rapper, at least in their little town, but he unfortunately was murdered when she was younger by like gang activity, I think. Her family is just not doing so well, so what she really wants to do is use her rapping skills to get like some sort of record deal or something so she can make money, you know, because her family is really like low on money and it's pretty bad at this point in her life. I mean, I'm not like that into hip hop or rap or anything, so honestly I can't tell you like if the songs are good because I don't know what is good, but I really enjoyed it, and everybody says the audiobook is really great because they actually like rap the songs, but I even enjoyed it just reading them because I could kind of still envision it. And this book like actually got me to take a hip hop like analysis class last semester of college, and it was pretty interesting. Like I learned a lot of things that I never even like understood or knew about it. I have a new respect for the whole hip hop genre of music. This was just really well done. I loved Bree's friends. I just loved how she was clapping back at her school, because there's also a conflict of her school being not nice to anybody that are not white people pretty much, and just being overly dramatic. Like they have security guards that like threw her on the ground or whatever, and there's a whole video released of that, I'm pretty sure, and she like writes a song to like clap back at them, and it just becomes this big ordeal, and I really loved it even more than her first book, The Hate You Give. This one was just a little bit more lighthearted. Like it still deals with tough topics, but you know, The Hate You Give dealt with a murder, so this one's like a little bit lighter, and I just loved the whole friendship group aspect of it and everything. And the romance in here, also a small part as The Hate You Give, but it was done better this time, so I enjoyed it. Also, these are not in any particular order. I did not mention that. I just literally can't put them in an order, so I'm just listing off my favorites. So the next book I really loved is Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. I read this towards the end of the year. Lots of pink tabs because the romance was super cute. It's a female-female romance, and it gave me similar vibes to Red, White, and Royal Blue because it was like a royal romance. The main character is from America, I think Texas, and she ends up getting accepted for this Scottish boarding school that she's always wanted to go to, and she ends up becoming the roommate of the Princess of Scotland, and they end up having like not the best interaction at first, so they kind of hate each other at first, but slowly like they kind of melt for each other. They kind of like each other, and I just really thought it was cute. I've been looking for a really cute female romance. This is like a companion to Prince Charming. Still haven't gotten my hands on Prince Charming or have read it, but I don't care. I just wanted to read this one. And I still want to read the other one, but like I wanted to read this one at first. So I really enjoyed this one. It was just giving me the chemistry. I have a lot of problems. I cannot find like good relationships lately, especially with female romance. Like they're just not giving me the chemistry that I want. This one did it for me though, and I loved it. So far, all of the books that I mentioned are contemporary, and I have another contemporary that I've loved. This is shocking. What? I have a lot of contemporaries on this list. Y'all don't understand. I mean, you might understand, but like I'm a fantasy freak. I don't read that much contemporary, and yet my list, let me count, I think 8 of them are contemporary. I am in shock. But here's another one. It's Geek Arella by Ashley Poston. Absolutely love this one. The tabs are here, and this one is a Cinderella retelling in this geeky universe. It's our universe, but pretty much the main character is obsessed with this fandom, kind of similar to Star Wars sort of vibes that she loves. She finds out that there's going to be like a revival of her favorite fandom because it was like an old TV show, and now there's going to be movies. And she finds out that this soap opera star who's a big hottie and everything, and she doesn't deem him as like really like good of an actor, is going to play her main dude that she loves so much in her fandom, and she's so mad about it. She ends up like posting it on her blog or whatever. Let's just say she falls in love with this dude that she hates so much because they accidentally get their numbers. Her dad is the creator of this big like Comic-Con sorta festival, and he like somehow gets in contact with her that way, and they're anonymously talking to each other. She doesn't realize she's talking to an ultra famous hottie actor dude. And obviously, since it's a Cinderella retelling, we have the terrible stepsisters and the mom, or the stepmother. It's just super cute. It's something you can fly through. I bought my friend Reagan this book, or I told her to get it. I don't remember. And she read it in like a day or two. And she hadn't read a book in a while before that. So next we have another contemporary read, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is a new adult romance. So all the other books have been young adults. If you saw the hype for this book when it came out, and it still has the intense hype, but you could not ignore, you know, like I had to get this book. So I finally got it, and I have a whole reading vlog for it, so go click the card. I am in love with this book. Pretty much it's another royal romance, obviously. I always describe it as if Trump didn't win, we have a woman president. She has a son named Alex, and he's like just graduated college pretty much. He has a hatred for the Prince of England for some reason. He hates him so much. And then one day they are at a royal wedding, and he sees Prince Henry, and he gets so mad, and they knock over the $70,000 or however much. It was a lot of money. They knock over the cake. There's this huge thing like, oh my god, the prince and son of the president hate each other. So pretty much they have to pretend to the media that they're best friends now to slide this whole thing over, and maybe it's like enemies to lovers. Like they end up loving each other, and it's the cutest thing ever. I love this book so much, and I actually got a hardcover from Book of the Month, but I wanted to show my tabbed up copy because I love this book so much. Whoo, it's so steamy. It's so steamy. Like, it's so good though. I love this so much. The next book that I have here is my first non-contemporary read. It's like Dystopia. It is Defy Me by Tahira Mafi. This is like a really hated book of the year by a lot of people. It is the 5th book in the Shatter Me series, I believe. I really liked it. Unpopular opinion here, I loved it. I'm a huge fan of the Shatter Me series, but I haven't been here since like they were coming out, so I think that's why I probably like it more than like the long standing like Shatter Me fans like Witty Novels. You know, she's been here for a whole ride, so I can understand that. But like for me, I read for entertainment and entertain me like greatly. I have a whole reading vlog for it if you want to go watch it. So another card. I can't really tell you much about this book, but I can tell you about what the premise of the series is, though it expands and expands. Pretty much main character, Juliette Ferrars, she's locked up in an asylum at the beginning of the first book, Shatter Me, because she has a killer touch. If she touches you, you die. And one day, the government like breaks her out and wants to use her as a weapon. And there's like a crazy, steamy romance throughout the whole series. And Juliette Ferrars has the best character development ever. She is so strong and amazing, and pretty much all I can say is I'm excited for the final book in the series, Imagine Me, so can't wait. The next book on this list is another non-contemporary. So this is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the 3rd book in the Folk of the Air series, starting off with The Cruel Prince. I have a reading vlog for this too if you want to go check it out. It's the 3rd book in a series. A lot of people hate this book, a lot of people love this book. I was one of the lovers, obviously. It's just pretty much a bunch of political intrigue. Main character Jude has a twin sister and an older sister, and they lived in the human world originally, but one day this big buff fairy dude comes and kills their parents and takes them away because they find out that their older sister is half fairy, and she is the daughter of this fairy dude. Whoa. They're thrown into the fairy world for pretty much the rest of their life. Just crazy stuff happens. There's a huge enemies to lovers romance that we're all swept away by, at least the fans. It's just so much fun. I love all the plot twists and everything. It's kind of crazy once you get to a certain point in the first book. Like, everything is just chaotic for the rest of it. I really enjoyed this. I read it so quickly, and it had me screaming like the whole time. The next book that I absolutely love this year, it's another contemporary, shockingly. Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. Love this book so much. I read this because Brittany from Brittany Books has been telling me it's super good, and I can't wait to read the rest of this author's books because I super enjoyed this one. I've been wanting like a cute romance that like I actually felt the chemistry. It's harder to find for me these days because I guess my standards are higher because I've read a lot more. But pretty much about this girl that lives on the East Coast, and she has an internet friend that goes by Alex that lives on the West Coast. Her parents are divorced, so her dad lives in the same town as that dude. Alex is trying to convince her to move over there so they can like have a relationship, you know? And she doesn't tell him that she is moving over there. And then she ends up working at a museum, and she meets this dude that she kind of hates, her coworker, and he's actually Alex, but she don't know that yet. And it's just super fun. And he's a surfer dude. He's had a shark attack. I loved the shark attack vibes. Like, that was so cool. He has like a huge scar. I thought it was awesome. So I don't know. I just haven't read like these beachy vibe sort of things in a while. So really enjoyed that. The next book that I loved is another contemporary. Like, what is going on? Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. This is the book that Julia from A Reader's World wanted me to read, so then I read it and loved it too. This is about a high school that is just so bad. Like, the men are so bad. They're terrible. They're like so against women for some reason. It's to an extreme that it's almost doesn't feel real, but like I'm sure there's places where it's actually like this. And the main character, I think it's Vivian, she gets fed up and starts to make a like feminist zine that she leaves in the bathrooms and tries to like make like a battle cry, like, let's get together women and fight back. Also, trigger warnings for like attempted sexual assault, just putting that out there. It's like a smaller part towards the end of the book. I really enjoyed the vibes, the friendship, and there was a relationship in here that I didn't dislike. At first I was not feeling it because the dude kind of said some stuff that bothered me, but then the main character called him out for it and I wasn't expecting that. So I really liked it in the end, because that's just a realistic thing. Like, your partner's not always gonna like think the same as you, and sometimes you need to like open their eyes a little bit, and sometimes they can open your eyes to stuff, and I really liked that. I felt like it was realistic. We're on to our last two books, and the next one's actually a graphic novel, but it's like a contemporary graphic novel, and it is Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. Honestly, everything that I read by Alice Oseman this year, I read Radio Silence and Volume 1 of this, all 5 stars. I just like picked one of them. Pretty much they all belong on this list. I love it, and I need to read the rest of her books that I have. Volume 2 though just spoke to me. If you don't know what these books are about, it's just the cutest male-male romance between these two British little dudes, and I just can't describe how soft it is. I haven't seen something so adorable. Like, the way it builds up together, it's literally just made me smile so much. And I cannot wait for Volume 3, even though you can read this online. It's a webcomic. It started off there, and they're like publishing them as they go. So I've already technically read Volume 3, and I really love that too. I just can't wait to have it and like reread it. I just love these boys, Nick and Charlie. They're so adorable. And the artwork, it's so cute. Like, I just love it. And this one is specifically, I love this one because Nick is like working out his feelings. He always thought he was straight, but you know, then he met Charlie and was like, whoa. He's working out his feelings, trying to figure out, is he bisexual? Like, what label does he want? Does he even want a label? And I just really like how he explored that throughout this volume. The final book that I super enjoyed this year, there's so many more, but I only chose for my 5-star reads that I have, and it is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which may be shocking because if you remember at the beginning of the video, I said I really didn't like an Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. People told me that if you didn't like that other book, you still could possibly like this one, and I did love this one so much. I read it from the library, so I don't have any tabs in it, but Kindle thankfully gifted it to me, so thank you so much. I can finally have it on my shelf now, and pretty much it's about this magical library of books, and our main character is like training to be like a specific type of librarian, like the special keepers, super people. Like, what am I saying? They're really against sorcerers because sorcerers use those books to like get that magic, like to say the spells and crap. I'm like butchering this as always. And one day the head librarian freaking gets murdered and people think she did it for some reason. And then Nathaniel, this sorcerer dude, he's bisexual by the way, he comes and saves her, and they go, actually he doesn't even save her, he's about to put her in questioning for people, but like he's really nice, so like I don't know, but they go on an adventure and he is like a demon. I've never been so conflicted by like whether or not I should like this dude because he's like a freaking demon, but like he's awesome. Like, what? Really enjoyed this one. I'm glad I liked something by her because I didn't like her other one. So this video was super long, but I had to get it done. Thank you guys so much for watching it. Like this video, comment down below, have a good day. Please subscribe. Make sure to follow all my social medias, which are linked down below, and go click the bell button, which is right by the subscribe button, which you should have already clicked, and goodbye.